So jumping right into things, let's go ahead and start with our brows. Surprise, surprise, I'm definitely doing my brows on camera today, which my brow lovers out there will love this. But I did pick up 2 different products for my brows. Now the first one is from Makeup Revolution. This is their soap styler, and it's just, you know, a little bar of soap, if you will, in a pan. And it also comes with a little brush, I guess, just to help you brush on the product. But I'm actually going to use a spoolie today, and I'm also going to spray it with a little bit of setting spray just to kind of wet the soap a little bit and run my spoolie in it. I've been a fan of the soap method for a while now, and I don't always do it, but we're definitely going to do it today. And I'm just going to brush my hairs upwards and start preparing them. So now that I have the product applied, I'm just gonna use my fingers and kind of press everything upwards just to get my brows to stick a little better to my skin and just really melt it in so that they stay in place once the soap dries. So now that I have that, I am gonna go ahead and use this e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. And this one is in the shade Brunette, which I'm not really sure how it's gonna work for me, just because Brunette doesn't really pull that deep in color, and my brows are pretty dark, as you guys can see, but we're still gonna use it and test it out today. This was the darkest shade I can find, whether it was Ulta, Target, and I believe I checked Walmart. But Brunette has been the darkest that I've seen, so I don't know if this line has any additional shades darker than this, but again, this is just what we're gonna be working with. All right, not bad. It is a little bit lighter than, you know, my brow color, but it's all good. I can just go in with a darker pencil or even powder if I prefer that method as well, just to deepen it up a little bit. But I do not mind the fact that it's a little bit lighter than my natural brow color, especially in the front areas, because naturally you want the front to be a little bit lighter than the end of your brow. So I can definitely get away with using this pencil, and I think it looks fine, but I am gonna go in with a darker pencil just to deepen up the ends of my brows, and then we can move on to the eyeshadow. So let's talk about eyeshadow. The drugstore has plenty of different palettes to offer, but this one from Colourpop is what captured my attention. This is their Ornate palette, I believe that's how you say it. They do have 3 or 4 different palettes within the same line, if you will. The packaging is pretty similar, just different palette names, and this is the one that captured my heart. So we are definitely gonna play with this one today. I'm gonna first go in with the shade called Charisma, which is this shadow right here. And I'm gonna buff that into my crease and use it as my transition shade. But I'm gonna try and be light-handed because I know Colourpop can be very pigmented. So we're just gonna do windshield wiper motions and a little bit of circular motions in the crease and just build this shadow up a little bit. Now that shadow definitely had a lot of pigment. It wouldn't be everyone's transition shade or starter shade, however you want to look at it, but I thought honestly that it was going to be a little bit lighter than this. But as you guys seen, as I blended it out, even though it went on very intense, it was able to be blended out and it kind of lightened it up a little bit. But we're going to grab a little bit of Siren, which is this nice mustard yellow, and I'm actually going to take that on top of that shadow as well as above the crease, just to help lighten the shadow a little bit more. You could definitely start off with Siren and then put the Charisma shade on top of that if you wanted to, but I like the idea of going in with the darker shadow and then using the lighter shadow to blend it out and lighten it up. Mixing these 2 shades really gave the overall appearance a different look. Instead of it being or pooling more pink, it definitely looks more orange now that we mix those 2 together. Now I want to take a little mixture between Tipsy and in the palette. So these 2, the brown and this more burgundy pinkish purple, maybe, if you will, shade. And I'm gonna mix those 2 together. I'm actually gonna use a M433 from Morphe to just blend these two on the outer part of the eye and then bring it inwards slightly, but I'm really gonna take my time with this step. I feel like we're in a really good place when it comes to the eyeshadow, but now I'm gonna go ahead and take the brush I was using before, go back into Siren, which is that mustard yellow, and I'm just going to reapply it in the crease, just again to lighten things up and to kind of add that shadow back in, because I feel like when we blended the other two shades, it kind of got lost in the sauce. So we're just going to reapply it so that it stands out a little bit better. So now it's time to put a shimmer on the inner part of our lid. If you wanted this to be an all matte look, you can absolutely just set it with some powder. You could also even use the yellow shade and pack it on the inner part of the lid. Even though we blended it, you know, up here and everything, it still has that mixture of different shadows and tones in the crease to where it would look really pretty just right here on the front part of the lid. But I am going to use a shimmer from this palette, and I think I'm going to go ahead and use this one right here. I don't know how to say the name of it, Bohemi maybe, but it's like this orange reflective glitter shadow. So I am going to use that. I'm going to take it on a flat brush and then just start applying it to the inner part of my lid. Whenever I play with a new palette and there's a shimmer shadow in that palette, I always like to go in without spraying the brush down just to give it a chance and see how it performs. This does look very pretty and stunning on the eye. It's very shiny, but I will say the texture of it is pretty glittery, a little bit more glittery than what I'm used to from a Colourpop shadow. So I am going to spray my brush a little bit just to get the glitter and everything to stick a little better. This is a shadow that does have fallout when you use it, especially if you're not spraying the brush. So I do encourage you to spray your brush down, especially if you do your base makeup first. You also get a more like metallic finish when you spray your brush down as well. So if that's something you like, then you definitely should spray that baby down. But the pigmentation is there. The shadow itself is very pretty. Again, I just prefer to spray it down. That looks really pretty. So of course we have to re-intensify that outer corner. So I'm gonna take a little mixture once again, and then just kind of flick it inwards just to mix these two together. Give it more of like a seamless blend, if you will. And, you know, get it together. All right, so I think I'm gonna stop there with the eyeshadow, and we're gonna jump right into foundation. So I've already primed my skin and everything since I started today's video, so we are gonna move on. Now I did pick up the Colourpop. This is their Pretty Fresh Hydrating Foundation. I picked up their tinted moisturizer before, I believe that's what it's called, and I was not a fan of that. There was absolutely no coverage on that. So hopefully this gives me, you know, more coverage than anything, especially because it is a foundation, but we will have to see. This is in medium 100W. I really hope I did a decent job matching myself. This is what it looks like in the bottle. I also picked up two different sponges. I have this one from Wet n Wild, which reminds me a lot of the Beauty Blender. It just has this cut right here, or flat surface, if you will. That to me is what makes it different. It seems pretty soft. I did wet my sponges, so that's the full like size of it. And then I also picked this one up from Target. This is the Sonia Kashuk Define Blending Sponge, and it's latex free. And just the, you know, like angles and stuff of this sponge is what really drew me in. So I think I'm gonna apply the foundation with this one, and then maybe, I don't know, I might, even though I wet it, I might save this for a different video to use. So let's go ahead and use the sponge first. I also pulled out a foundation brush just in case I wanted to do that. Actually, I think that we'll do half the face with the sponge, half the face with the brush. And let's see what kind of coverage we get. So I am shaking the foundation just to be sure, you know, it's all mixed and all that good stuff. And I'm just gonna pump this on the back of my hand. It is a bit more of a runnier foundation. So what that tells me is that it's a possibility that this foundation could, you know, be more of like a medium or lightweight foundation. But you never really know with today, you know, beauty is just evolving, products are evolving. And as I'm applying it to my face with this brush on my right side of my face, there is coverage in that. So I guess I was wrong. Spoke too soon. I think the shade match is doable. I'm not the best when it comes to picking out my own shade, especially in the drugstore. Let me know if you feel me, but I do my best. Yeah, I think this will work. It'll be all right. So far with this brush, I'm definitely getting good coverage from this, which I like. And let's see. So it says that this is a hydrating foundation with a skin perfecting, medium buildable coverage for a natural, healthy looking skin. So it is medium buildable. And I definitely get that medium coverage. You know, when I apply it, it's pretty high up there. I can almost guarantee that with one more layer, you know, on top of where I've already applied, I definitely get more of a full coverage effect. But so far, so good. So I am going to leave it there, and I still have a little bit of product left on my hand, and I'm just gonna take my sponge and dip directly into that and then start applying it. So initially, right off bat, I'm not really seeing that much coverage with the sponge, but that could be because I didn't have much product left. So let's see again. Maybe like a brush to start and then the sponge to blend, you know, everything into the skin a little bit more seamlessly. But initially to apply it, I think I like the brush side better. To me, it just feels like the product was dispersed better with the brush than it was with the sponge. And I just felt like the sponge might have potentially soaked up, you know, a lot of the product. Because the consistency of this foundation is a little bit more of a liquid consistency, it could be the reason why the sponge soaked it up the way that it did. Because if you think about it, when you wet your sponge, the sponge is absorbing that water. So that could be it as well. But overall, I think the foundation so far is a go for me. All right, you guys, so I've gone ahead and done quite a bit off camera. I've applied my lashes, I have set my under eyes as well as applied concealer. I did a little bit of cream bronzer. I tried to keep it very light today. And now we are gonna move into setting the entire face. Now this is what I would hope to be the equivalent of the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Airbrush Setting Powder or the Sephora Micro Smooth Powder. I picked up the number 7 powder. This one is their Lift and Luminate Triple Action Finishing Powder, and I picked mine up in the shade Medium. This is a little bit more of the higher end of drugstore, I would say, but hopefully this powder works well for us today. So I'm just going to take my fluffy brush and just stamp this on. Oh, that's pretty. So I'm just gonna focus it on the, you know, outer part of my face because I am seeing that this powder is a little bit darker than the Charlotte Tilbury powder that I have, which is a bit more lighter and I can actually apply it everywhere. This, I feel like if I go over my under eyes too much with this powder, it might, you know, deepen it a little bit because again, this is medium. I could probably use light and get away with that as well, but I do like the powder. It is blurring the skin a little bit, which is always nice. So I'm just gonna apply a little bit of this. Now let's go ahead and finish up the lower lash line. So I am gonna grab the palette again, and I'm gonna take these two right here, so the brown shade and the more burgundy tone shade, on a flat definer brush. And I'm just gonna run my brush through the two products. And then I think I'm going to smoke this down here. So I'm just gonna drag it across my lower lash line. I'm not gonna worry about blending this out just yet. Just literally gonna draw a line. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of Siren in the palette, which is that mustard tone shade, and use that just to help smoke out the other two shadows that we placed underneath. As a final step, I wanna take a little bit of Gilded, which is the lightest shimmer in the palette, and pop that on my inner corners and a little bit on my brow bone as well. All right, so let's go ahead and move into bronzer. Now I don't have anything new, so I'm just gonna go in with the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I'm gonna use both of them. This is the Physicians Formula in Whaley palette. I did see this at Target, so it's still on the shelves. If you haven't got your hands on this, you definitely need to. So I'm just gonna take a mixture of these two, like I always do, and just add a little bit of warmth to the skin. Very pigmented, definitely goes a long way, and you don't need too much of this product, which I love, but I also love the warmth of it because it just reminds me of summer and warmer months. And even though it's, you know, fall, about to be winter, I still love a warm toned bronzer. So I'm not gonna fix what's not broken, and I'm just gonna go in with the LA Girl liner. This is actually their lip liner in nude. And when I went, I did see that they had an actual eyeliner similar to this, but like I said, why fix what's not broken? So I didn't get it. So now for our final product, and this is not new as far as formula, but I have been waiting to play with this blush in specific. The shade just screams me. You guys know I've used these multiple times here on my channel, different shades of course, and I finally get to play with this one. So this is the White Peach shade. You guys know I'm a sucker for like a peach or orange tone blush. So this right here, I am definitely looking forward to. So I'm just going to jump right in with my blush brush and apply it, and oh my goodness, this is pretty. You guys see that? And I feel like it complements this look entirely, like entirely. e.l.f. really bodied the formula with these, as well as their quads that they have, the mini eyeshadow quads, and their primer infused blushes, as well as the bronzer. They're stepping up, you guys. They're really stepping up, and I'm obsessed with this shade. I mean, I like all of them, don't get me wrong. I don't think that I can just pick one and say that that's my number one, because I really like all of them. It just really depends on the look, but I've been waiting to play with this one just because I love orange. And of course, to finish this look off, I'm gonna grab the highlighter shade in here, and I'm gonna pop that in all the areas in which I highlight. I'm gonna try to be light-handed because I don't want too much. All right, beauties, so this here is the look finished and complete. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below, but I am loving this. I feel like everything worked out in my favor today, and I'm really grateful for that. But let's go ahead and jump into some speed reviews before I close out today's video. I am gonna try and keep it short and simple. So first, starting with the Wet n Wild sponge. The reason I am starting with this today is because it is my least favorite product that I used in today's video. It's not as soft as I thought it would be. I do prefer other sponges over this one. Now, it wasn't as bad as other sponges I have tried in the past where I just absolutely will not use them ever again. This, however, I will pull out, but not to initially blend with the sponge. I would use it as like a secondary method or tool to use to blend out my products. For instance, using foundation, using a brush to actually apply it, and then using the sponge just to go over everything and make sure that it's really blended into the skin. Next, we have the Makeup Revolution Soap Styler palette, and we also have the e.l.f. This is their Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. Starting with the soap, I want to say that this is nothing out of the box. It's nothing extraordinary. I would not personally recommend you guys go out and get this just because, again, Nothing revolutionary. You could take a bar of soap from home and do the same thing this did, if not better. I feel like it didn't really stick my brow hairs down and in place the way that I would hope that it would have. Like once it's dry, it doesn't really stay, if that makes sense. So I'm not crazy about it. I will continue to use it just because I have it. I purchased it, I bought it, so why not? But it's not something I would repurchase. Now, when it comes to the brow pencil, I did like it a lot. I love the fact that it's so thin and precise. It's just really easy to get in between those brow hairs and define your brows a little bit better. I will say if they do not have a darker shade than brunette, then that kind of sucks, especially for someone who prefers a darker shade and not even okay with something a little bit lighter. This is not a product that I can just use on its own. I definitely need to incorporate a second brow pencil or powder or cream, whatever it may be, just to add that depth within my brow. But overall, a great product. Now moving on to other products that we use today that I love a whole lot more. First is the number 7 powder. This right here, again, the shade medium, is a little bit darker than what I thought it would be. I feel like I could get away with using the light shade in this, but this shade wasn't bad either. It's just something I would not use underneath my eyes because it has that, you know, more tan effect to it. So it's definitely meant for the outer perimeter of my face, which is what I use that type of powder for. But you guys know me, sometimes I just go right on top of my under eyes. But with that powder, I could not do that. Well, at least with that shade. Now, if I got the light shade, I'm pretty sure I could use that everywhere and be okay. It's a product that I like. It's something that I will continue to use and keep you guys updated on how I'm loving it or not loving it if that were the case. But so far, so good and nothing to complain about. Now for my top 2 favorite products from today's video that are from the same brand, which by no means was this like on purpose. This was literally a coincidence and I realized it just now. But Colourpop came through in today's video, okay? The foundation, first and foremost, I'm obsessed with. I think I did a very good job at finding a shade that, you know, matches me pretty well. It may not be my exact match, but it's close enough to where it does the job. I love the coverage of the foundation. Now, as you guys seen, it was a little bit liquidy and runny. And one thing I did forget to mention is that this does have hyaluronic acid in it and coconut water. The hyaluronic acid is supposed to hydrate and support healthy looking skin. And the coconut water is supposed to support hydration and skin softness. And I do feel like my skin looks soft, but you know, that could be because of the powders too. But I was obsessed with the look of the foundation on its own. And it's something that I'm going to absolutely continue to use. I love this. That I would say go out and get. And then also this palette right here, the Ornate. Hopefully I'm saying it correctly. I love the shades in this palette. I really love this mustard color right here. I'm just obsessed with yellow and mustards. You guys know I love those. I also love my orange tones, but I like the look that this palette gave. It's just really pretty, very pigmented. Okay, the pigment is definitely there with this palette, so I'm probably gonna go out and get another one from this collection that they have. A must-have palette for sure. And then finally the e.l.f. Duo, which is the blush and highlight. You guys know I love these, okay? If I didn't, I wouldn't have been out buying multiple shades and using them in almost every video. So the formula on this is there. It's like all the rest, nothing different, just the shade is different, and even that was a win in my book. So overall, successful makeup look. All right, you guys, so that concludes today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it and the reviews at the end. Again, I really love this makeup look. It's not even just about the eyeshadow, but it's just everything overall. Everything worked really well together. Definitely look forward to me using these products in future videos to come because they are that good. But I am gonna close out today's video here. But before I do, if you guys have stayed this long and watched all the way until now, and you love this video as well as other content that I provide here on my channel, and you are not subscribed yet, please make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, also the bell notification. And with all of that, I am gonna sign out. I love you guys, and I'll catch you guys in my next upload.